Good morning and welcome to Hump Day, your midweek guilty pleasure. Now, I'm pretty sure you're partaking of other guilty pleasures other days and times of the week, but this one is your midweek. This is the Salty Goddess Podcast, and I'm Margaret Perry. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful week and you've all recovered from your celebration for St. Patrick's Day last week. We are happy to have you, and we hope that you subscribe, share, follow, and download. What are we going to talk about this week? Let's talk about fear. Fear, knowledge, unknown, peasantry. I have a whole list of things we can discuss, but I've only got 30 minutes. So let's get to it. Fear. Fear is what keeps you from moving forward. And what causes fear? Many different things. Prior experiences, scary movies. Fear truly comes from the place where we exist, where we don't know what's going to happen. So we actually have a knowledge deficit. Knowledge deficits cause stress, anxiety, and fear, and they keep us from moving forward or taking action. It's easy enough to see if you've ever seen a scary movie, how everybody's kind of like freezes in place and then the killer gets them. So do not stand still or death will get you. That's simple, right? Oh, if only it were really that true. How do we gain coping skills to deal with fear? We do it by reduction of whatever is prompting that fear. So what does that mean? Bunch of great big words to talk about this. What it means is you know that there's a fear of the unknown. The best way to reduce unknown is to know. And if you know, should reduce your fear, should reduce your anxiety. Correct? Correct. So advance your knowledge, collect your knowledge, reach out to verifiable, reliable, accurate sources. Just because someone reposted it, just because you read it on a TikTok, does not mean it's accurate. Trust but verify. Okay. You know, I talk about these great words that someone shared with me as I was growing up. That was one of his favorite phrases. Trust but verify. Individuals that will come to you and look like they have authority may not. And if they're spewing facts, look those facts up. See if you can verify them. I know I mentioned it once before. Wikipedia is not your answer. I mean, if it's a definition, maybe, but verify facts. It's extremely important so that you can build your knowledge base, your ability to speak with authenticity and authority on something as well. So please, by all means, trust, but verify. Don't take everything that someone says as the source of truth. It may not be. And I'll tell you, I have experienced individuals that come at you and they're so confident in the way that they tell you something. You're like, well, that must be accurate, right? Only to find out it's not. So don't use authority or confidence as the only indicator or the only metric that you use to determine whether or not what someone has told you is accurate or that they're even the authority, because there's a good chance they might not be. Do your due diligence, do your homework. Oh gosh, there's that word, homework. You must, you absolutely must. There are so many sources out there today that are inaccurate. Part of the reason why, if you use AI, at the bottom, there's a disclaimer that states, ChatGPT or any of the rest of them can make errors. Verify or check the authenticity, the accuracy. There's a reason for that. AI uses all the sources available to them through the internet. Have any of you come across anything that was so wild on the internet and you knew it was absolutely false? That's why it can be inaccurate. Now, if you take a document that is accurate, I'll use an example. I write grants. So a NOFO is a notice of funding opportunity that is issued by the grantee. If you take that document and you upload it into ChatGPT and you ask it questions about that document, what it gets you, if it's looking at those facts, are facts. If you send it to a specific data analysis website and say, look at this URL and parse out this information and this information, that information is accurate based on what's on that specific page. If you just wildly throw in something and ask, what's the best way to make a baby? I don't know what else to think of. Listen, it's going to give you all kinds of wild ideas because its source of truth is every possibility it comes across on the internet. That's why it says it can make errors. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So let's go back to this fear and these knowledge deficits. Every single person on the planet has a knowledge deficit about something. Period. End of discussion. Do not ever allow your knowledge deficit to inhibit yourself from being able to ask for assistance or for clarification. Everyone has knowledge deficits. Totally okay, totally normal, and it doesn't make you less than just because you have a knowledge deficit. What makes you less than is when you cannot admit that you do, and you don't do anything about it. And you continue to walk around with this knowledge deficit, living in this, environment where you're missing important key details and accurate information. So do not allow fear to hold you immobile. Reduce those knowledge deficits. Move forward. Do not let fear hamper your forward progress or your willingness to take a risk or to take action. Everybody has a certain level of fear about something, and it's absolutely normal. Fear is a normal emotion. Don't let anybody else tell you anything different. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care what sex you are. I don't care what species you are. I don't care what religion you follow, what political team you follow, what color your skin is. Every single organism on this planet with a brain understands fear and experiences it. Fear for some species keeps them safe. Makes sense, doesn't it? You get that tingle up your spine. You kind of know, I'm probably not going to walk in that dark alley today. Animals in the wild, they have fear. It keeps them from doing things that can get them killed. So fear is useful. It makes you take pause before you do something dangerous. At least it should. Okay. You don't have those guardrails on. We should talk about a couple of other things. Once you've reduced the knowledge deficit, the fear should reduce enough and you should be able to move forward. Now, I was told early on that I could do anything I put my mind to. Just remember, it takes your mind, your brain, to be able to do it. Don't go out there and be wild and think that you can fly. Unless you're in an airplane or some other type of flying apparatus. You, as a human being, do not have wings, and we do not have the ability to fly without some form of mechanical assistance. So don't get crazy out there, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. use some common sense. I completely understand. It is not a flower that grows in everybody's garden. Trust me when I tell you, as you live your life and experience humanity, you will find there's many flowers that don't grow in people's gardens that you would fully expect had seeded and replicated and multiplied. But nope, it's not there. So just know fear reduces when we reduce knowledge deficits. Search out accurate information. And that's what I challenge everybody to do. Seek out accurate information. Make sure that you're getting those accurate, authoritative, authentic facts in line. Okay? So, how do you recognize you have knowledge deficits? Well, it's self-reflection. We talked about that in the last episode. Talked about growth and understanding that it's okay. You know, I have a master's degree, okay? But I didn't always. I didn't always have post-nominal certificates or post-degree certificates. I do now. That's great. I've reduced knowledge deficits. I haven't reduced every single knowledge deficit that I have. Self-reflection tells you the things that you are capable of, the things that you're not capable of. I will tell you, I am not about to be a firefighter today. In my advanced age, there's no way I'm dragging a 185-pound person out of a burning building. I do not have that physical capability. I just don't. Not anymore. I probably did when I was in my 20s, but I never challenged it to know for sure. So keep those things in mind. There are some issues, some instances where you might be barred from being able to do something simply because of limits, physical limits. But don't ever allow things to mentally limit you for what you could do in the future or what you want to do. Once a coach once told a young man that he would never be a champion wrestler. And I remember hearing this and thinking to myself, well, that's bullshit. What coach motivates someone by telling them they can't do anything or do something? Don't hang out with people that speak that way because it's going to get you nowhere. Your motivation comes intrinsically from yourself. That is the best motivation you can possibly ever have. External motivation, sometimes the sun's shining, it makes you feel good. You get out there, you wash your car, wash your windows, you feel like you're motivated to do things. That's one thing. But if you require external motivation to get the job done, you will not be as successful as you could be if you had that internal intrinsic motivation. Where do you get that intrinsic motivation from? It's a mindset. It's a way of thought. It's a way of experiencing life. So you have to build on those particular skills and mindsets so that you can motivate yourself. Now, not everybody has it naturally. Some of us have to work at it. Every day that I open my eyes, I look around and think to myself, so this is phenomenal. Another day, let's see what I can get done. Do I wake up that way every single day? Oh God, no. Sometimes I wake up and I'm just like, up this morning already? Oh, what I wouldn't do to just please slide back into these covers and sleep just a little bit longer. Everyone has days like that. But if every single day is like that, you don't have intrinsic motivation. And you've got to work on that. Shift that perspective, that mindset, and start thinking about your day not as drudgery, not as a hurdle to overcome, but as another opportunity to take on the world, rule the multiverse, be a salty goddess. We can all do it. Trust me. That wise man told me a long time ago, almost 50 years ago. You can do anything you put your mind to. Your mind is the strongest organ in your body. You can convince your body of almost anything just through thought. Try it. You'd be amazed at what your mind is able to do. I have patients that are on a weight loss journey, and I tell them a little story about how I managed to lose over 100 pounds. One of the ways was I started eating off of a smaller dessert plate, because a dessert plate loaded with food, when you consume that food, your mind looks at the plate and goes, I got to be full. I finished that entire plate. That same amount of food on a 10-inch plate, a full-size dinner plate, you finish that food, your brain looks at that and goes, well, that wasn't a whole lot of food. I think I'm still hungry. Yes, your brain actually does that. Try it. So much so that I purchased dessert plates, paper ones, and carried a few in my handbag, in a baggie, so that if I went somewhere that I was going to eat, I made sure I still ate off of that dessert plate until I could reprogram my brain and get it to understand, you can tell me you're hungry all day long. This is all you're getting. So you got two things you can do about it: nothing and like it. And then eventually you build that discipline. And that is what you need to do inside your mind to get that intrinsic motivation to move forward, to make decisions, and to alter your brain into believing that every day that you wake up is a day you're going to conquer the multiverse. So get to that. Try it. That's another piece of homework for you today, this week. Start doing that first thing in the morning when you wake up and say, another opportunity to slay it, to make this day my bitch. Carpe diem. There's a lot to be said for speaking to yourself in a positive manner. I know you're all like, oh, some of this feel-good crap. I don't want to hear this. It is the truth. I'm telling you from experience. Telling you from experience. So you have to recognize that you have knowledge deficits. You have to recognize that you have a perspective or a thought process that you should probably start working on so you can build that intrinsic motivation. Do you wonder why some individuals are able to accomplish so much and yet you don't? Even though you have the same number of hours in the day, you have the same number of minutes in a day. You still eat the 3 meals a day that they eat, but they seem to accomplish more. Oftentimes, it is that intrinsic motivation that spurs them on and gets them to accomplish those goals. One of my motivators, and I guess you could consider this external, I've shown you guys all my book. I keep this book and this pen. It goes with me everywhere I go. I feel naked when I forget it. That doesn't happen very often. Ain't nobody want to see this naked. Trust me. So every day I have a list. And as I complete what's on the list, I mark it off. And I have to tell you that they're backwards check marks because I'm left-handed. Every time I see the number of check marks grow, it's a level of accomplishment. And it motivates me to keep going and to get things done and to work through things and get that thing going so that I can one day, I swear, one day I'm going to wake up and on a Monday morning, I'm going to open this book and this is what's going to be on my to-do list. I can't wait. Today's not that day. Today's not that day, sadly. But what if I didn't have anything to do all day? What if I didn't have a to-do list? I think there was something seriously wrong, for sure. That'll come eventually when I retire, things like that. So, goals for this week? You have a few. Did you start organizing? Like we talked about last week, how important it is to plan, organize. Remember, I said anybody can do it. You don't need fancy tools. You could do it with a crayon and a piece of paper. I mean, so that means even Marines can do it. Okay. Let's think about it. Getting organized. Organizing even your thought process first thing in the morning to be positive about opportunity and moving forward. Forward motion. It doesn't matter to me if that forward motion is a 6-inch step forward. It is forward motion. Even if all you do tomorrow morning is say 3 things to yourself that say, today is a great opportunity, another opportunity to try something new, to reduce knowledge deficits, to reduce fear. Plain, simple. That's still forward progress. Making a list. Even if the first few days you forget your list at home and you don't get a single thing marked off that list, the fact that you authored the list is forward progress. And that is something to be championed and celebrated. Now, y'all know I don't agree with getting a trophy just for participating. These, though, this trophy, this celebration of your small wins, of any win, is the way to intrinsically motivate yourself to continue going, to expand, and to make it great. So don't miss an opportunity to celebrate yourself. Don't miss that opportunity. Because trust me, if we don't celebrate ourselves, ain't nobody going to celebrate us. So don't be a knowledge peasant. Don't be a knowledge pauper. Gain knowledge. Increase knowledge. Increase efficiency. You optimize efficiency. You increase knowledge. You can't help but increase coin, right? Improve your monetary situation. Who wouldn't want that? And then in the process, make sure you share the information with those around you so that they can follow suit. Do not be that gatekeeper. We talked about that in one of the earlier episodes. It does not make you valuable. Sharing what you know, helping others to know what you know, that's where the real power lies. Because as you rise, you lift others. And I've seen it multiple times. Actually, just had a discussion with a colleague this week, yesterday actually, about an individual who doesn't want to learn anything new, but says they're the only one that knows these specific processes or this specific business unit. Why is that? Why are you the only one that knows? Why is there no succession plan? I'm going to tell you why. Because you fear. And you fear because you have a knowledge deficit. And your knowledge deficit is simple. You don't realize that the true value of your position, not you as a person, but your position, is when you share that knowledge and have people around you that can fill in if you need surgery, need to go take care of family, need to take care of your dog, or your water main breaks in your front yard and you need to be at home for the plumber, or the local cable company runs over your light pole at the end of your driveway and you got to be there for when the contractor comes to put a new one in. All of those things. Do not be that gatekeeper. The people around you are going to understand that you are making yourself obsolete. You don't look like a team player. You look like an angry old wrinkly white dude sitting on his front porch screaming, "Get off my lawn." Don't do that. Don't do that. Nobody wants to be that person. Nobody wants to be old and wrinkly either, come to think of it. So make sure you moisturize. Moisturize well. Okay. Don't be in the sun all the time so you don't get those wrinkles. All right. It's important. And you're probably going to hear me say that over and over again ad nauseum. And it's because I cannot believe that in 2025, this is what's going on. Why y'all behaving like this? It's like you're on the playground and it's still kindergarten recess and you're still not sharing the toys. Get out of here with that. Come on. Come on. Come on. You keep your job, you advance at your job. One, because you share that knowledge, but two, because at the end of the day, you show others that you can do it better than anybody else. That's the real competition. Not just because other people know how to do your job, know how to handle whatever, issue comes up at work or whatever it is that you do. You stand out based on being a great team member, number one. Number two, by doing your work the best you can possibly do it. Period. That's where I see the value. And listen, that doesn't mean the person that takes on all the extra work that nobody else wants to do, that they don't get compensated for. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the person that is the most efficient. And when deliverables come across my desk or in my email, that they are the best looking stuff ever. Period. That's it. That's it. Your only competition every day should be with yourself to be better than you were the day before. Be better at planning. Be better at efficiency. Be better at contingency plan. Be better at sharing. There's really not much more to say than for you to better yourself, that intrinsic motivation. Because intrinsic motivation is consistent. External motivation may not always be there. Now, remember the coach I was talking about? Instead of telling this young man that he would never be a state champ, what he should have said was, "You want to be a state champ? Let's lay out a plan for what you should do to make that happen. I can't guarantee you'll be a state champ, but I can tell you, if you put in the work, if you learn these skills, if you do this, your chances go up." I lost complete and utter respect for that coach the moment I heard what he said to a 14-year-old. And you know what? It made me salty. But then it also gave me an opportunity to speak to this young man and say, I don't agree. I don't agree with what he said. Let's see if we can find someone who can help you gain the skills you need, have the discipline that you need, and learn what you need to learn so that you can reach that goal. I also cannot guarantee that you will definitely reach that goal. But I'll tell you what, you're not going to reach it if you don't work for it. I'm happy to say I was right again. And that young man did end up a state champion. It's a lot to be said for giving someone the tools they need to be successful, teaching them how to wield those tools when the time is appropriate, of course, and helping to build and hone those critical thinking skills that they will need to be successful, not just as a state champ that brings you some accolades, but successful in everything or most things that they attempt. So, your extrinsic motivation is follow, share, subscribe, download. So you don't make me saltier than I already am, or more dead than the Dead Sea, as someone said about me. All right. Thank you for joining me here at the Salty Goddess Podcast. I'm Margaret Perry, and I look forward to seeing you next week so we can enjoy your guilty pleasure together.